can't believe I'm doing this. Trust is about exposing yourself to people. Maybe that's really what Facebook is for exposing ourselves to people. Not the pretty and the happy, look at my cool food, look how cute my lover and I look, like. But then there's that old phrase that the old people say, well, don't go airing out your dirty laundry in public. We all have dirty laundry. Maybe we should all talk about dirty laundry. So it's like a week later. And right after I made this video, I ended up basically summing the last minute up. Me just saying this video is absolute crap. I can't believe I even did this right now. This is not an issue. And it's not an issue. And I'll tell you why. So I was having my own trust issues with putting out content. There for a while, when I was living alone, I had so much time to myself and there was so much recharge time going on that I didn't find it very often, where I would find myself in those fits of depression, fits of anxiety, fits of not trusting the universe, even when things were just going nuts. I still had an outrageous amount of faith. And it has gone away a little bit, guys. I think I'm feeling the need to, I made some notes, because I like making notes on her videos. Again, the definition of trust is relying on other people to make a need, want, or desire manifest for you. When we say it's with bills, you can trust someone that they go to work, they bring home money, they pay their part of the bills, you move on. It's really basic stuff. You can trust that someone will put their laundry away. Now, it sounds weird to have a trust issue over laundry, but PTSD pops up in so many ways for so many people. We don't even realize what's happening until we're already there. And even as I brought that up, what I remember now is when I was growing up, I didn't have the cleanest siblings that would leave their stuff. I would walk into the bathroom and see panties on the floor. And, and they weren't always the best at going to the bathroom. It would be a messy set of panties on the floor. That's just right there on the floor. Not sure I ever healed from that. And the frustration, the anger, and the disgust. So now, sometimes when, this hasn't happened because I live with people that clean up their own laundry, but if I saw laundry on the floor with an ex in my 20s, I would get so disgusted and outraged by the mess. And it's because I hadn't healed the wound that I didn't always grow up in a household of people that were like me. There were things that we did have in common, but there were things that we really didn't have in common. Things that were huge deals. And I learned through my 20s, by living with lots of different friends, you really need to know someone. You need to see their environment. Not only great example. Say you live with a coworker, and when you were working together as coworkers, before you moved in together, they're doing all their job. They're doing all this stuff. You're viewing them as a certain way. Unbeknown to you that you never went over to their house to see how it is they took care of their house. And guess what? It's a mess at home. And if that's an issue for you because you want home to be clean, you rushed in. You put your trust in someone where it probably wasn't deserved because of a simple situation, a small amount of observance. And then come to find out it's not how it is. Now, one of the things I put on here about one of the ways to heal trust issues is to really starting right now, today, this moment, of anyone that you're wanting to build something bigger with. Because we have a lot of casual interactions, but then sometimes we have to get closer to people. If you're going to live with someone, you're going to get married to them, you're going to have babies with them, you got to build trust. It's building trust. We have to build trust. And it's about taking it slow and witnessing how they are beyond just the simple things if you want to get into business with someone, you should probably go and see how they handle business. How do they handle their own money? Get these questions. Build trust based on conversations and awareness of watching them, how they move. It's important. This video has literally been one of the hardest videos for me to put up. Even right now, my mind is blanking out on trust issues. And what that's saying to me is that intuitively, I know that I still have trust issues. And intuitively, unless you're just some crazy Buddhist monk living out in the middle of the forest who only interacts with wolves and birds, which you would be watching this video, you have trust issues. We have trust issues together. And even just talking about it and being vulnerable and allowing myself to express my feelings right now, I'm having a hard time. I'm afraid of putting myself out there. And that's another sign of you have trust issues. Fear. Does fear pop up randomly for no reason? Are we latching on to energies from things that happen to us by grudging or being resentful or spiteful or suspicious? Are we doing those things? Because if we are, we have trust issues. And it's just all of these energies that people are having right now in 2020, it's 2021. In 2020 into 2021 is that we have trust issues. We've been abandoned. We've been neglected. We've been used by people, by governments, by institutions, by companies, by businesses. We all have gone through the cycle of being abused or abandoned or disappointed. Small things that have just led into trust issues. And so when you see rioting in the streets, when you see someone checking through your phone, it's shining a light on your trust issues too. Nothing can happen to us that's not meant to mirror back an energy to us. And when it comes back to, I know I mentioned on this conversation, this family member that I'm having a hard time dealing with, we have trust issues with each other because of where we've been, where we are now, and where we could be going in the future. And it's manifesting as a big, giant, ugly, multi-headed snake with wings and claws. It's been a lot. And now, opening up and choosing to be vulnerable and saying, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm going to speak my truth. No matter what happens, I'm going to say how I feel. Excuse my lisp. I have a cough drop in my mouth. Right? Vulnerability. I want so hard to let go and to live life transparently and to be open. And it's one of those things where if you're in a group of 5 people and all 5 people have trust issues and are making decisions based on suspicion, fear, resentment, grudges, worry, they're making those choices. The biggest fear for me is that if I open my heart space and I say, you know what, I'm just going to say what I need and take nothing less and let that be, the tension. What happened to the other people? What happens to the other people? Do they start losing them? It's scary. And learning to trust again and learning to accept our past circumstances and to really quit questioning them. That was a really beautiful thing my fiance said the other day. He said, the fastest way to stress is to put a question mark where God put a period. Why is this period here? We spend so much time focusing on the period we didn't like that we end up missing all this time here that's building up to the next period. There's all these periods. I remember having a time period, about 4 or 5 years ago. I was still taking dance at UNT, and I got tired of asking questions. I got tired of people's frustrations with me asking questions. And now as a teacher, that's a big thing going on in my classroom too, where I'm tired of people asking questions. No, you need to state what you think it is. And I need to be able to tell you no. That's not what it is. We don't question because we're afraid of being wrong. We need to learn to be wrong. And talking to people and building trust, you're going to find ways that maybe you don't see things in the best reality. Maybe some of your trust issues are because of the way you view your life, the world, the situations around you. And when someone states theirs and we state ours, maybe we'll realize that we weren't right. Or maybe they'll realize that ours is better, right? We're trying to learn. And man, trust issues. This has been one hell of a video. Oh God, it was so much. And after this, I'm gonna rip these cards up and go, I choose to live in the now. Choose to be present. choose at every moment when someone pops up with trust issues, know that's because they're not healed yet. And maybe your healing will help them heal. Oh, so much. Okay, goodbye. I love y'all so much. What is up, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Our 6D Journey. My name is Lucas, and I'm here to help us build healthy relationships. So we have a really big topic on hand today, and this topic is very personal to me, and I'm sure it is to you too, because I would almost guarantee, no matter what, you've been on both sides of the spectrum of trust issues. Now, before I start my video today, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, bing, and set it to all, because it automatically does personalize, set it to all. And of course, give this thumbs up. And if you'd like to share the knowledge, wisdom, and love with your friends, family, coworkers, and other people in your life, share it to Facebook, share it to Twitter, share it to email, whatever's best for you. All right, so trust issues. What is a trust issue? Well, according to WebMD.com, a trust issue is the reliance on someone's character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something. Trust is essential to the development of healthy, secure, and satisfying relationships. Now, I'm sure you've all been there where your friend or your coworker or your family says something to you, and for some reason, you don't trust what it is they're saying. You're questioning their truth. You're going through it and thinking to yourself, I'm not sure I believe this. The first thing to encounter is, why aren't you trusting someone? Is it because of what they're doing right now? Is it because of what they've done in the past? Is it because of something else someone else has done in the past? And what is it that you're having issue trusting with right now? Now, also on WebMD.com, it says that trust can lead to post-traumatic stress, attachment issues, fear of abandonment, anxiety, adjustment disorders, depression, and even schizophrenia. So I have struggled with post-traumatic stress a lot throughout my life, where I've gone all in with relationships. And I'll give you quick examples. My very first relationship, we got an apartment together. He was getting a new job, and I had just gotten a school loan for school. A school loan. And I agreed to use my school loan to fill our apartment with furniture that we needed, kitchen stuff we needed, food, just small stuff. It was in between $5,000 and $10,000. I don't remember how much, maybe it was $7,000 or $8,000. And he agreed he'd pay it back. Well, come to find out, we break up about 3 or 4 months later. I write up this personal contract about him paying back the money to me over a period of time. I think we're going to do it over 2 or 3 years. He made 2 payments and then stopped paying them. We moved back in together. He's taken over doing some stuff. We break up again. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, saying no. And then we broke up the second time. He moved again, said he'd keep making payments, didn't make the payments, lost his job, ended up going through all this drama, ended up basically giving away all the furniture we had done in the apartment we were living in. I was pissed. And ever since that moment in time, I've had issues developing trust with people. Especially in matters of money, because I've given money, and that was one example. I had another example where someone else moved in with me, again, inviting people in without being sure they're for you. Invited someone else in. He had X amount of money in the bank, and I was paying the bills. He had just gotten a job 2 weeks in, and then about 3-4 months into living together, that's a pattern, he leaves. And during the whole time we were living together, he had also been basically buying stuff behind my back and then telling me it was smaller. A really small example was I came home one day and he had bought stuff for Halloween. And I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. And I was when I asked, it's totally innocent. This is so cool. How much did you pay for it? Oh yeah, I went to Goodwill. It was $20 or $30. And I'm like, okay. And there was a lot of stuff. And I was kind of going, wow, you got a really good deal. You got lucky. Well, I'm cleaning, completely innocent. I'm cleaning about a week later, and I'm going through stuff and organizing stuff, and I find this bag that has a list of all these things on it. He had spent $130, not 20 or 30, $130. And when I brought it up to him, ooh, that did not go well. During this whole time of these issues with having trust with people and in relationship to money, I had built other trust issues around being emotionally vulnerable. My inability to trust with money had led into issues with me trusting with my emotions, has led into issues with me trusting people with my body. Even during times like, I used to hook up a lot when I was in my 20s. When I would be having sex with someone, because of my physical trust issue that had been built on different trust issues from the past, I wouldn't let people finish. Like, I would feel like I was in a hurry the whole time. Like, I wanted to be there because I wanted to get laid, but I just wanted to get it done. And I would end up finishing really quickly, and then I would just leave and let them just like deal with their own finish. Oh man, so many issues. Anxiety, fear of abandonment has been a big deal in my life. You know, feeling like someone is going to uproot at any moment and walk out with everything they have. And what it's basically forced me into doing now is it's made it to where I used to trust openly and blindly, and I didn't let people earn their trust. I didn't let people prove they were responsible. You know, I had a very open heart, and now I'm like, no, we need to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Oh, and by the way, this and this and this happened. So I'm kind of like in this middle ground of, you know, working through my own trust issues, but also learning how to build trust with the current people in my life. And the one that really struck out to me was the schizophrenia thing, because schizophrenia, from my perspective, is basically someone's inability to trust the outside world, and they start creating their own worlds inside their head, and they get wrapped up so much inside their own worlds that they can't determine reality from their delusions. And that's very interesting. I have some other signs, some other things to think about. So let's see, we did all those. I'm looking through my notes here. Now, another thing that can really rile up with having trust issues is jealousy. Now, there's two different kinds of jealousy. Definition one is cognitive jealousy. This represents a person's rational or irrational thoughts, their worries, and any suspicions concerning a partner's faithfulness, whereas emotional jealousy refers to a person's feelings of upset in response to a jealous invoking situation. There's also behavioral jealousy, which involves detective or protective measures a person may take, such as going through a partner's belongings or looking through their text messages or emails. Now, this is a big thing that really popped up. So, my last relationship, before my fiance, I was suspicious that someone wasn't being honest with me because there had been small things that had been building up. And throughout time, what ended up happening over the last couple weeks we were together is that when he would go to sleep, I would go on his phone and I would look through everything. Now, when I was a teenager, I used to watch porn. And I was so good at getting rid of any sign of computer history. I was deleting not only the history, but the cookies and the logins, and I became very good at sneaking around. And because I was so good at sneaking around, because I didn't want people to know what I was doing in my secret time, I became very good at finding other people's ways of sneaking around and them not fully deleting it. Now, that's a trust issue within me that I had. So if you find yourself snooping on your partner's emails, their Facebook accounts, or even say, like this happens to my clients sometimes, where they call up and say, hey, there's been this girl like commenting on his social media, who is she? And I am not a psychic spy. That is not my job. And so I always tell them, well, if you have an issue with someone in their blank, you should go ask them first of all, but I will gladly pull some cards today to see who this person is. 9 times out of 10, it's a friend. It's a friend that you just haven't heard of yet, that you haven't met yet. And you know, even in my life, I can't tell you, I mean, I'm sure I could go look it up. I can't tell you how many times someone who I haven't seen in 5, 6, 7, 10 plus years will randomly reach out to me on like Facebook. I have over 1,000 friends. Like I've made a lot of friends in my life. And people just all of a sudden ding. They go, oh, I wonder what Luke's doing. Hey, how have you been? You know, those things happen. And when we have trust issues, when those people show up, other people, if they're spying on us, which don't spy, when they're spying on us, it's going to build their distrust in that person, right? Now, the biggest thing about but what to do right now is really how to deal with trust issues. And so far, I've only covered all the psychological reasons for trust issues. I'm going to go into the biological reasons here in a minute, along with the energetic reasons. Now, the best way to deal with a trust issue is to probably either do self-therapy through journaling and, seeping out why it is we're having these trust issues and really breaking down the information. But the second way, if you're really struggling, is to go get like cognitive behavioral therapy. Go see a therapist. Have someone help you break down why it is you're having a trust issue. Because chances are higher than not, based on most of my videos, as I've previously said, these issues you're having are reoccurring events that you've built in your life based on a very, very far past event. My biggest thing with why I have trust issues that doesn't have anything to do with myself, well, it does because I was there, is I watched my mom go through so many relationships. I watched men leave. I watched her leave. I watched her friends leave. I watched her leave her friends. I watched this leaving, this pattern of never being able to hold on to something because something would go wrong. There'd be some huge fight and all of a sudden we're not talking anymore. And the number one way to rebuild trust with someone is honesty and integrity. And sometimes it gets ugly, and like yesterday I was standing actually with my fiance outside, and all of a sudden I just had this bubbling energy to express what I've been feeling over the last 6 months and why it is that I've been a little bit depressed. And a lot of it came out of trusting life. Me not being 100% sure of where my job was going. Me not being 100% sure if I wanted to have my grandmother living with me. Me not being 100% sure if I'm really fully committed to any relationship, especially if an engagement or a marriage. And having to express those things and saying the what, when, where, why, how of them, it was scary. It was scary to say it all. And he is just so sweet. And, we have each had our times of being defensive when someone brings up their truth. But yesterday's conversation went so well because we were both non-defensive. We were both being understanding and we were communicating directly and saying, this is what this is. It has nothing to do with you. It's completely to do with this. This is how I'm working on it. This is when I plan to make changes. This is what I've learned from all these different situations. And it was one of the best conversations we've had as a couple in probably over half a year, because there had been this building of not being very physically close. And, this last year really threw a lot of us under the bus. This whole 2020 pandemic threw a lot of us under the bus. All of the rioting and the protesting that have gone on, all of the mass shootings that have expedited up in numbers. It's been a lot. And I think a lot of us have really been surfacing old trust issues. And I remember saying on my channel before COVID happened, telling people that I believe 2020 was the year of change, that everything was about to shift around, that everything was moving into positivity and light. And then this event happens. And I'll be honest, for the first 6 to 9 months of that event, I was going, what happened? I really believe what I was saying. Was I crazy? I was trusting the universe. Well, now here I am, 15, 16 months past COVID. And I really 100% believe that all of these issues that rose up from within us is because light was being shined on really deep core wounds that we were all holding, all related to trust. And, trusting life, it's something that my grandma is struggling with right now, is that she's struggling with trusting life and waiting for the next shoe to drop. And it's because of all the events. And each event that comes up for us, we have to remember that these events are there to inspire change. And I have a poster on the wall that says, when you lose, which we lose every day, something, when you lose, don't lose the lesson. You can lose the situation and forget the situation, but take the lesson into you. And when the lesson comes in about, instead of just trusting people blindly, I should maybe move a little bit slower. I should watch someone and see if they are the kind of person I want to be around. Have casual conversations with them and go, hey, so when is the worst time that someone's ever hurt you? See how they respond. See what it is that their lesson was now, because if their response is pain and anger, that might not be the best person to get involved with. As a friend, as a relationship, as a boss, as a coworker, as family, if they're going through something, it's going to affect your relationship with them because they're having a hard time trusting. Wait. It doesn't mean you're waiting around for them to get better. Wait means push it off for now. Go do your own thing. Explore other options. And if they get healed and come back, ooh, yay. Okay, now, let's talk a little bit again about the energetic component of trust issues. So I was talking in my last video about externalizing your power and how when you externalize your yellow chakra into other people and you have codependency issues, your center of why it is that you're strong and moving forward in your life is not healthy. This same energy is also one of the reasons why you might have issues with trust. If you have codependency issues because you're afraid that other shoe's gonna drop, someone's gonna take everything with you, it's built on trust issues. You know, and one of the first signs of you're in a relationship that's not really healthy for you is that you get together, you break up. You get together, you build a little more trust, trust pops up, you break up. Another sign of this is that you're the one doing all the sacrificing. You're the one making all the good comments. You're the one making all the understandings. You're the one paying for everything. You're the one that's being the understanding, compassionate one. It's a sign you have a trust issue. You should probably let them go. If you feel like you can't trust someone and you're starting to grow apart and your values aren't really aligned, it's time to let them go. Now, I was talking about the yellow chakra. And another key chakra to trust issues is the red chakra, the root chakra, our sense of survival and our sense of security. If you've gone through a lot of situations in your life where people have left, family, friends, lovers, and at the end of it, you felt abandoned, like they left you high and dry, your root chakra is out of balance. You know, one of the best things that I do almost on a daily basis is doing chakra healing for myself. Working through that energy. And what happens for me is as I'm laying hands on myself and I'm letting emotions run free, thoughts come up. Past phrases people have said to me come up. Visions come to me of situations I've been in that led me to have a trust issue. And working through those and accepting them. That's the biggest thing first, is accepting them. Because a lot of people's biggest problem is that they just don't want to accept what happened to them. They want to leave it and go, no, I'm a victim to this. This happened to me. This awful thing took place and I didn't deserve it. No, you did deserve it. And I'll tell you why. Because you have to grow as a human. And 99 out of 100 times, we're growing through something because that's where we're meant to go. And we can't get to that next place in life, that next place in our spiritual, emotional, intellectual evolution. We can't get there unless something inside of us breaks. Because it's like me, I had blind trust. I blindly trusted people. I believed that everyone was good. And while I still do believe that deep down, inherently, everyone is good, I also know that deep down, inherently, everyone goes through stuff. And because of maybe the stage they're on or the phase they're on, where they're in their life cycle, they might show up and they're not going to be trusting. They're not going to trust you. You're not going to trust them. And that's just part of the dynamic. And we have to learn from it. We have to learn to learn from it. And I think it's important to let trust build slowly, you know, because it's not good for relationships. If you're having trust issues and you can't be vulnerable and express yourself fully, you're not going to have a healthy relationship. You just won't. You know, and I think that what happens with a lot of people that have trust issues is that because they become codependent, they overly care and they're putting all this energy into their partner and knowing that they can become trustworthy and that it's probably an issue with them. And sometimes it's not. You know, if you don't love yourself enough to recognize when someone's just not trusting, therapy, journaling, cognitive behavioral specialist, figure it out. And I think that that's really what's going to help us evolve past it, is the intellectual ciphering through what it is that's happened to you and why it is that you're not trusting. And then once you find the root cause, which it might be the root cause, then energetic healing. And every time something comes up, getting yourself affirmations and beliefs that help redefine that energy pattern for you. Because if you're wounded and that wound never fully heals and closes up and becomes a scar, if it just stays like an open wound, you'll never heal, ever. Now something I haven't really touched much on yet in this video is what is forgiveness? Forgive. It feels like sometimes we do forgive, but then when the issue shows up again, we're twice as mad as before. And if that's happening to you, you haven't forgiven people. And I have an angel in my head slapping me across the face going, you're talking to yourself right now, Luke. But really, if you say someone does something, they small lie to you and you get like 2 points of anger. Next time they lie, it's a bigger lie, 3 points worth, you get 5 points anger. Next time it's even bigger lie, it's a 5-point lie, you get 10 points anger. You didn't forgive them. And you didn't ever really get a clear communication standard of what it is that you needed to feel better. And that's so important because for me, it can scare people away. Telling people exactly what you want and taking nothing less, you lose a lot of people in your life. Because the relationships that we've been setting up don't necessarily align with the values that we have. And if you start a relationship that's in misalignment for your values, when you try to pull it straight again, this person's going to adjust accordingly and you're not going to be able to get that full click. Now, if you can align your values and talk directly and honestly and then align them this way, it's healthy. It's a good relationship. We're feeling super crazy today. So what's going to happen now is we are going to sing with Ben Platt, a song from Dear Evan Hansen. I might end up doing both, my 2 favorite songs from that show. Yeah. I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key. Before I make that mistake, before I lead with the worst of me, give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away, so I got nothing to share, no, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? I haven't sang it today. This is brand new. I'm warming up. We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong, but every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? And nobody's around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Will I ever make a sound? On the outside, always looking in. Will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? Is anybody waving? This musical has just like changed my life. Again, I haven't warmed up. I'm just feeling something this morning. I woke up at like 5:15 and was just ready to go. And that's what's happening. So now we're going to sing the other song, because I definitely was feeling all of what he was saying. Like, it just, oh my God, it like burned. I want the instrumental version, Carrie. Well, why not? You know, I don't know this one. This is the top one. 1.1 million. Yeah, it's the best one. So I'm going to click it. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm doing this. You know, trust is about exposing yourself to people. Maybe that's really what Facebook is for exposing ourselves to people. Not the pretty and the happy, look at my cool food, look how cute my lover and I look, like. But then there's that old phrase that the old people say, well, don't go airing out your dirty laundry in public. We all have dirty laundry. Maybe we should all talk about dirty laundry. Just an idea. Oh my God, let's do it. This is not with Ben Platt. This is me. Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? That you could fall and no one would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. And maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, you need a friend to carry you. And when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, you'll reach up and rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found, and you will be found, and you will be found, you will be found, and you will be found. Have you seen this? Your speech. My speech? Well, what a video.